Hi, everyone. If you want to go ahead and find your seats, we're going to go ahead and get started. I love all the chatter. I feel like Fendler 241 has new life today. Um, so Nathan, I think we're good to get going. And Zane, can you hear us?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you and see you. Okay, wonderful. Well, tonight for our Senate Special Program, we have Director Zane Reek, who is the director of the Purdue Memorial Union. I know he has a lot of exciting things to share about updates happening in the union, and hopefully some pictures of what the new basement will look like. So Zane, I'll let you go ahead and take it away.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate being here. So thank you for the invitation. Just going to kind of start off a little bit, give you the pictures are really what everybody wants to see, but we'll go ahead and start with me giving you a little bit of a rundown. We are on schedule to open a ground floor renovation starting in the spring of 2022. So we're looking somewhere around January is when we're hoping to open it up. Hopefully there's no construction delays or anything like that. But this is a $47 million project that the university has embarked on to hopefully improve student life and some opportunities for student programming, for dining, outdoor seating, all kinds of things for students. And really what today is, I'm going to walk you through some of those spaces and kind of hopefully answer a lot of the questions that you may have about what the space is going to be like and kind of how it's going to work and how it's going to function. Currently, we are in the middle of the process. We are just finishing up some environmental branding, some graphics packages. So if you've ever been in the union before, you notice you can kind of walk through the union and not really know you're at Purdue. Well, that's going to change in the ground floor. So we're very excited to tell the story of Purdue, tell some of the history, some of the Easter egg type odd facts about Purdue in the ground floor. And we think that'll be very exciting for students. We have been working with some students on our committee. So we do have our P-Sub students, which are regular members of committee that we ask for input. And then we also have another group of about 10 students that show up from student organizations. Asada sits on the committee with us and gives us some input from that aspect as well. And so we've been excited to have student input throughout this process. If you've seen our social media feed or anything on the union right now, we're actually doing some sit testing for some of the retail dining furniture. And over the next month or so, we'll actually be doing some more sit testing for some of our lounge furniture that we want students to give their feedback. And then ultimately, I'm hoping sometime maybe the end of this spring semester, we'll be able to start announcing some of the food options. Now, there's 3 that have kind of been announced as part of a press release that went out earlier, and I'll talk about those as I walk through. So just wanted to kind of give you an idea where we're at, that everything's kind of going really well. But I think the exciting part that I think everybody is wanting to see is actually the photos. And so I'm going to get right into that. All right. So I hope I can't see anybody else. So I'm hoping that people can see the screen.
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, awesome. Great. Thank you. So I'm just going to continue on. And if somebody has some clarifying questions, by all means, stop me and ask, and hopefully we'll get those answered. But to give you a little bit of orientation about where you're at right now with this is the ground floor. This would actually be Grant Street here, the parking garage over here. So this is the entrance kind of where you come up into the new hotel restaurant. And this is the main entrance of the PMU. This obviously is the entrance of the Stewart, and then this takes you to Academy Park. So I just wanted to make sure people had their orientation first. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of walk through and talk about some of the features of this building just to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. And probably the most obvious that you see are these really awesome terraces out front. So you should see what we're calling our East Terrace and our West Terrace for the outside. The idea is that these are going to be really spaces where students can hang out in the summer, winter, fall, spring, whatever. We're going to have fire pits and nice lounge furniture out there, umbrellas. We actually have a stage out here so we can do live performances, whether it's student organizations or P-Sub or whoever wants to can actually reserve this space and do programming out here. We also have this huge West Terrace, and this will give you ground entrance access into the ground floor of the Union. And so one of the cool features that we're trying to do is make the building more accessible. So now this is an accessibility ramp that takes you right down into that ground floor. And then you can access it. And during nice days of the year, we'll actually be able to open up these doors and allow people to kind of sit inside and outside and kind of feel whether you're sitting outside or inside, like you're part of this huge terrace out here. So again, you see some of the furniture and some of the fire pits that we're proposing here on the outside. So that's going to be the biggest thing that you're going to see from an external view of the PMU. I will say that it's going to blend in really nicely with the historical structure and functionality of the PMU. And so one of the things we're trying to do is make sure we maintain some of that historic integrity, but also make it more modernized for students to use some of these outdoor terraces. So as we kind of go down this area, I'm going to take you over here. So as you enter down and you go down the steps over here, one of the things to point out is this used to be where the Purdue team store is. And so in that location is going to be a convenience store that we hope will be able to service not only students and everybody in the union, but also with some of the hotel guests that we have a nice convenience store down here. If you walked here, this used to be the old Evans Eye Care and men's restroom in this area. And so one of the things that we're very excited about is not only will we have a men's restroom on this side of the building, but we'll also have a women's restroom on this side. Plus we'll have 2 gender inclusive restrooms here and a nursing station or lactation station for mothers. So that's all kind of grouped in this area, hopefully making this more inclusive of the things that students need here on campus. And so again, that's one of the exciting parts about this. As you kind of go over here, this used to be the old tap room area right here. And so as you can see, we're putting some really nice furniture in here, lounge furniture, some booth tables that you can enjoy the windows. And then we actually have a new meeting room down here, which I think is going to be really popular with students and student organizations. But we'll have some better technology in this space, and we'll have a lot of, this will be reservable for students. Now, the one thing as I go through all of this area, the one thing I want to point out is the PMU was really bad about electrical outlets and power for you to power your computers, cell phones. We have gone through this entire downstairs area here and added power almost everywhere inside of this facility. So we want to make sure that we're meeting your power needs. Another thing I want to point out, just so you kind of get some orientation, if you were in the old ground floor, I don't know if some of you were here, but the back of the house kitchen used to come all the way down this area and then kind of cut across here. So it was a huge, huge back of the house for the kitchen. We've actually downsized that. And so the only back house part of the kitchen now is right here in this area. So what this does is this opens up tons of seating and more dining options for students. So we have a lot more seating down there. So I think over 1,100, 1,200 seats now that students can actually enjoy in the PMU, which if you've been in the PMU during some peak times, it was really crowded. So excited to offer that as well. I'm just going to kind of walk down the hallway here. And if people have questions, please interrupt me. I can't see you, so you'll have to interrupt me. But as we walk down the hallway here, we're going to have kind of a nice little games area with some pool tables and some seating and furniture around that. As you kind of come to this area, you're going to see a stage right here. So this is an indoor stage that students can program on. And the nice thing about this stage is it actually mirrors the outdoor stage. So if for some reason your event gets canceled or postponed because of rain, well, we won't have that issue anymore because we'll just flip them over here into the inside of the building, and you can actually continue your event inside of the building. It also, if anybody does any kind of battle of the bands type things, it'll be really cool because you can put a band out here and a band on the inside and have them kind of playing through this area. So that's kind of a cool feature. This used to be Pappy's, just so people are aware, this is where the Pappy's area was located. As we kind of come down the hallway here, want to point out that we do have the new bar area. And if you've heard, this has been in the press release. So this is going to be Walk-Ons, which is the new sports bar area, which is co-owned and operated by Drew Brees, so an alumni of Purdue. The nice thing about this, not a lot of people know this, this is kind of a fun little Easter egg, but this is actually the location of the original Pappy's Soda Shop. So we've moved it back to where the original location of Pappy's Soda Shop will be and kind of made it into a bar. And so we have a lot of really fun bar seating. And I think we have over 60 TVs in this area. And I'll show you a picture of kind of this restaurant kind of bar area here in a minute, where you'll actually get to see some of those pictures. As we kind of move down here, this is all seating. I do want to highlight this. This is the Pappy's, the old booth in Pappy's that I know a lot of people like to deface and engrave their names in. That'll be coming back into the union. Plus, we'll have a whole wall dedicated to honoring Pappy's, the old sign, some of the old pictures, and some of the history of that, so it can be well represented inside of this new space. So as we move down this area, if you remember, this used to be the old Starbucks area right here. We also, so we now have more seating in this area. We've taken the Starbucks out and added a stage here. This could be seating or a stage, but we've also opened up this outside area again, so you can go inside or outside. So there's kind of a terrace area here. During cold weather months, we'll obviously have kind of this inlet here where students can kind of go in. We'll have these doors closed when it's cold, but we're putting all kinds of different seating in here. You see kind of this really cool seating in between markers of the building and pillars, ADA accessible seating, all kinds of different types of seating in here so students can enjoy that. So as we move up into this area, I want to point out, this is actually where the new coffee house will be located. And so this is actually where the Starbucks location will be. And so if you remember, the lines used to stretch all the way down here and kind of into Starbucks. We've kind of done some different things here where we can route people through here and kind of go down this long coffee bar area and have a nice coffee house feel. So if you've ever been in a Starbucks, I'm sure I've ever been in a Starbucks or any other coffee house area, we'll actually have a stage here where we can do coffee house performances and kind of get that coffee house feel within this area. So this used to be Freshens. And then this used to be the old urban market right here. So this is all going to be a huge coffee place for students now. Excuse me. Now we do have 2 pockets of food concepts. This is actually kind of a food market concept. So we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options right in here. And we're still working on what those options will be. Hopefully, it's going to be a lot of diverse food. We're working with our student committee on making sure that we have halal options, vegetarian options, vegan options. And so all that's being worked in as part of the menu and different things that we have in various areas of these restaurants. But you can also see we've created a new path here. So now you can cut down here through this path to the West Tower, come back down in this area. You have seating in the middle. You actually have seating all around these areas, which is just more accessible and just better places and pockets where students can kind of go hide and kind of study and do things that they need to do. And if you don't want to study, you can obviously come over here into the noisier part of the building where we're hopeful we'll have live music and different things going on. This area is probably my favorite place of the Union, and I'm actually going to show you a close-up of this. But this is actually a new fireplace lounge where we've taken one of the old fireplaces that we uncovered behind a wall in the PMU, and we actually have some light wells, and we're creating this really cool lounge space that students will be able to enjoy. So we hope that students will be excited about that. And then we've also got these collaboration spaces for students. So if you're eating and you really need access to a computer so you can work on a project, and this doesn't have it or a TV, then you can plug right in here. And we have a couple of collaboration stations that students can kind of utilize in this area. And then down here, we have another option. This is going to be kind of a salad type option. They're still working through that concept. And then over here is where I think the third one that's been announced is East End Grill. We'll have options here in the PMU that will be obviously affordable options for students, is the idea that they'll have kind of the East End kind of menu kind of toned down for affordability for students. And so we have been working with our student groups. We know affordability is a priority and variety of food. And so we're working through some of those concepts, and hopefully we'll be able to announce some of that stuff here shortly. But this just gives you an idea. This is some more seating in all this area. This used to be the old Oasis area where we have our sandwich shop. So just so people are familiar. And then right across here, this is where the old Fidelity and UPS store were. And those have actually been relocated up to the second or the main floor of the PMU. So we've actually tried to make it more convenient for students. So we put the UPS, Evans Eye Care, Purdue Federal Credit Union, UPS, Amazon are all located on the next level so that you have kind of a retail row. And then what we're hoping to do with this space is hopefully create another meeting room for student organizations, and then potentially figure out if there's another retail opportunity here that we can actually figure out and kind of work with students if there's something here that they'd like to see as another retail option. So this is kind of the overview of the larger project. Obviously, I'm going to come back to this because I'm guessing some of you will have questions about this area, and I definitely want to answer. I do want to also mention that over here in this area, we also will have kind of an elevator or a Lula lift that will make the rack and roll more accessible. So no more going down the deep dark hallways or the basement of the PMU to get the rack and roll. Hopefully we'll make this accessible for students as well, and they can access the lift or the elevator right there as well. So, all right, so I'm going to stop sharing on this one, and I'm actually going to show another picture. I hope I'm doing all right on time. So I want to share a picture of the fireplace lounge I was talking about. So as you can see, this is going to be kind of a really cool feature. The furniture is still being worked on. Again, we're doing sit tests here. But you can see we're going to put kind of a logo, maybe a hammer down or something on this fireplace. We'll have natural light that kind of comes down through this. Nice soft furniture and some hardcore furniture. Everything will be wired so it has electricity so students can use their laptops. But we're also doing these really cool branding elements throughout the building where we're going to tell the story of the building. We're going to tell the history of Purdue. And so you'll be able to sit here and then kind of reach over and see this really cool Easter egg of environmental graphics and old pictures and different things like that that you can read. And so this is a really cool place. This is probably going to be my favorite place in the Union, just because I like that we're restoring this old fireplace and you can sit down there and have this cozy feel. So that's one. I do have a couple more pictures I just want to show before we get into any conversations here. Wanted to kind of give you a shot of, I was talking a little bit about walk-ons and kind of the ability to walk outside on this east terrace. The nice thing is we will be able to serve potentially foods from a window here. But this also gives you an idea of kind of what that space looks like, kind of the bar area. You can see, like I said, there's like 60, I think it was 57 TVs that are in this area. So all the way around here, and you can see them deep into the back of this area. If you look all the way down this hallway, this is where the old Starbucks used to be. And so I'm kind of standing at the end of the Pappy's area, or the place where you walked in to order food in the original location. But this kind of returns, again, that Pappy's bar area, fountain area, to kind of its original location. And then obviously modernizing it a bit with some TVs and electrical outlets and different things that students can utilize. So, and then finally, I'll show you one last picture here. Excuse me. This just gives you an idea. This is, again, kind of looking down that hallway. So this is where that old, where Starbucks used to be. So there's a potential stage there. You see some banquet seating. You see the doors are open, so you can walk right down into the terrace. Get to enjoy the nice sunny days that we have here in Indiana. Hopefully we'll have those that you be able to utilize this, but kind of start to see some of the furniture. You'll also notice in some of this, we're returning the downstairs. It kind of was disjointed from the rest of the building. So you'll notice we're returning some of the old wood wainscoting, trying to get some of the arches and the windows back into the building on the downstairs. So you have this really cool historical feel with modern amenities all the way from the ground floor up to the main level, up to the second level. And so that's really what we're trying to do this. So we've been really excited to be working with people on campus, working with our student partners, trying to get this all set up so we can get it opened and have you start enjoying it here in the spring of 2022. So I'm going to shut up for a second and obviously let people ask questions, and hopefully I'll be able to talk to you about a few things. So please, any questions? Love to hear them.
Yeah, thank you so much, Zane. Yeah, Senator Reed.
Hi, Zane. It's great to see you again from the Student Advisory Council meeting earlier today.
Yeah,
I just
good to
would
see
like to start by thanking you for not only coming and talking to us about this exciting stuff going on with the union, but as well as including the student perspective throughout the entire process and going forward in dining options. I'm very glad you're recognizing the importance of that. So I guess I have a few questions, but I'm not going to say them all right now. How many seats are available in this current plan of the union, and how does that compare to like the previous number of seats? Just because I know the amount of times I was able to find a seat in the ground floor of the union is like maybe 3 times my entire freshman year. So I know that's always one of the hot topics, and it's great there's all of these stages and whatnot, but I guess just how are the seats looking? And yeah, it doesn't need to be more complicated.
Yeah, there's significantly a lot more seating down there. And I wish I had my fact sheet on me because I don't want to quote a number. I want to say I think we're close to 1,100 seats, but I don't know if that includes some of the outdoor terrace and some of those things, but it is significant, and I will make sure I get that amount to you. But we recognize that it was really hard for people to find seating in that area. And so one of the things that we kind of drove this project was making sure that we right-sized the back of the house area and added a ton more seating. But I'll get you those exact numbers. I don't have those readily available, but I do have them on a fact sheet. I should have had that ready. I apologize. But
Awesome, thank you.
Yes, Senator Buftas. Oh, push the mic.
Got it. Yeah, it was great hearing about these plans for rebuilding the union. My only question is, I know right now there is a temporary, at Stewart Center, there's a temporary interfaith center. Are there any plans to build an interfaith center at the union? Is that anywhere in the making right now?
yeah, great question. And we were excited that we were able to get that one where, I mean, we were working with students obviously from PSG and the Graduate Student Council as well to get that approved. By no means do I think that's the permanent location. I think we wanted to make sure we had something readily accessible now that we could kind of work on, so students could actually have a place that they could go and utilize. I would really like to see, it's not going to be in this ground phase, but this is part of a larger master plan for the union. So I'm really hoping that during our next phase, as we start to look at the student org area and some of those other areas, that we find a permanent home for our interfaith prayer and meditation space. So again, it's working for what we need now, but I obviously hope we put more attention into it. And I've been working with some of our student leaders, telling them just that you know, we need to get something active, because obviously this group knows more than anything. We need places that students can mentally de-stress and kind of relax. So we didn't want to waste time on that, but by no means do I think this is the final answer. I think it's just a solution for now. But yeah, that's a great comment, and we hope to include it in the future.
Sounds good. Thank you very much.
No problem. Good question.
Senator Wyrick.
Hi, thank you again for meeting with us this evening. You talked a lot about how this plan for the union is kind of a culmination of, you know, bringing in the historical elements of the union, but also bringing in modernity at the same time. Do you guys have any plans right now for making the new amenities in the union, Starship robot, accessible?
Good question. I don't know if I have the answer to that. I know, I'm guessing that's probably going to be an Aramark question that I don't have the answer to. So I don't know what it would take to make them the accessible for that. But no, we haven't been doing that in planning, but I'll definitely put that down as a note. So if you have any kind of information to share on that, please share it with me, because I don't think that's been a discussion point to this point.
Yeah, no, I don't know how to do that, but I'm sure it was the question on everyone's mind. So thank you.
No, I appreciate it. But yeah, please, if you know anything, I'd definitely love to hear.
Senator Reynolds.
Hello again. I know we talked earlier at University Senate meeting, but I was wondering if you could share with everyone what you answered earlier about the students who worked at the union, and then, I mean, some of them might be graduated by the time it's done, but if they have any priority at all, or if there was any like help finding them a new job on campus because it closed suddenly, and yeah, I was just wondering if you could talk about the students who used to work there.
Yeah, thanks. It's good to see you again. Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of a two-part question, because right now we did have students that were part of the closing of the hotel. So that's kind of what prompted a lot of the construction here. And so as that happened, obviously we knew we were going to have students that were displaced. So we tried our best to work with those students to find them other jobs, whether it was on campus or inside the union. And to my knowledge, that's why I said, to my knowledge, I thought we did a pretty good job of that, because the goal was never to release any of students. It was always, to find other places of employment for them. And so now obviously the hotel's been open for a few months now. And so they're in the process of hiring HTM students, working through HTM classes. And hopefully that as COVID and the pandemic decreases and some of those measures starting to lighten up, we'll start to increase that student workload again. Now, we naturally have a lot of students that work for us that graduate as part of the attrition rate. You know, they come with us, they're with us for 4 or 5 years and they leave. But the current students that we have, the idea is, as long as they're all meeting performance standards and those type of things. The idea is not to lose any of our student employment. So we're hoping that as this opens and there's more opportunities for students to work. So whether that's at Aramark, whether we need more building manager positions, whatever it might be, there should be more positions available for students in the PMU once we open the ground floor. So that's what we're excited about. But I do recognize that. I know you mentioned that there might have been some students that felt like they lost their job, and obviously that was never the intention. So if you know of any of those students, I'd love to reach out and talk to them and kind of see why they felt that way and see if there was something we missed. So
Thank you. And part of it was definitely when we were sent home suddenly. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
Senator Reed?
So I know you touched briefly on the fact that the Rack and Roll would have a new entrance. I guess I just wanted to confirm that there would still be tunnel access to like Cranert and Rawls, as well as tunnel access to Stewart, and that the pool tables, the arcade, and the bowling lanes under the Union, is that all still expected to be there?
Yeah, absolutely. We do want to work on a refresh of those areas down there, but all of that will remain. So nothing's being done with the tunnels or Rack and Roll as part of this project right now. So they won't be impacted by the ground floor project.
Great, thank you.
President Gilmore?
Hi, Zane. I don't have a question, but I want to echo Senator Reed's comments from earlier. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being thoughtful and attentive to the feedback. I know that me and President Nunez aren't always got a lot to say sometimes, but you've handled it so graciously. I also, since you're here, do want to thank you for your involvement with the Purdue Reading Day sweepstakes, because that really was because you were just so gracious. So thank you for being here today.
Yeah, absolutely. Excited that we were able to help out.
Okay, what other questions are there? Or anyone online also is welcome to chime in. Senator Reed.
Okay, this is my last question. I know you mentioned that you planned for it to open spring of 2020, and I know those dates are often, 2022. I know those dates are often, pushed back due to, it's construction. That's what happens in Indiana. But I guess I was just curious if you could say with any confidence that would be kind of the semester that you're looking at opening, because I'm going to be a senior next year, and I'd really love to see the Union in person as a student.
Yeah. Now, that being said, I'm going to do everything I can to push our construction crews to get done by that time. Sometimes I don't even have control of that. It's kind of dictated by construction materials, those type of things. I will tell you at this point, if everything stays on track and on schedule that as we have right now, and nothing changes, we should be open for you to enjoy it in the spring. So I can give you that guarantee as long as we don't have any major issues between now and then.
Great, thank you so much.
No problem.
Okay, anything else? Okay, Veronica.
Hi again. So I know you talked a tiny little bit about it, but I was wondering if you, kind of talking about the sweepstakes and stuff, if you just want to share more information about the Union Club Hotel itself.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, absolutely. Just kind of to share. So if most people aren't aware, we had a renovation of the hotel. It was a $35 million project. We did receive a $30 million gift from former Board of Trustee Bruce White. And then the university obviously added the additional $5 million to make sure that we covered the project. It did include a renovation of all of our rooms inside of the hotel. So we went from about 192 rooms to 182 rooms. The reason that we did that is we lost 10 rooms because we kind of went with a 2-story lobby that actually has a bar accessibility, but also has an expanded fitness center in there. And kind of provided a valet station and a concierge station inside of the hotel. And then as part of the hotel renovation, we had to move the Boilermaker Welcome Station to the Stewart Center. And we moved the Welcome Center and the Alumni Center into a spot over there. And that's where we actually have now the 811 Bistro, which is the restaurant for the hotel. But anybody can enjoy. We do have a lot of students that come in and enjoy the restaurant and the cafe. We have Leap's Cafe over there, which kind of serves the coffee, juices, those type of things, kind of pastries. and then Boiler Up Bar, which is part of the hotel as well inside of that area. And so we've been receiving some really good reviews from all three of those. So obviously that was kind of the catalyst to start talking about the Union project. So we were excited that the hotel project finished, so we could kind of take this in and start working on the Union project. And just so you know, if you haven't been in the PMU or the Stewart Center in a while, we have moved some things around. So the team store is located right next to the Welcome Center, which is kind of a symbiotic kind of relationship. Makes a lot of sense to have them next to each other. We have 2 new lounge areas at Stewart Center, which have large screens that are HDMI accessible, where students can go in and relax and plug in and use them. And then, as I said before, we moved all of our retail up to the 2nd floor, so it provides more of a continuity for students when it comes to the retail and the Union. So we're hoping we made everything, one, a little more easier to find as far as the wayfinding, and 2, a little bit more accessible, because you're not hunting around all over the places for the services that you need. So
Thank you for sharing. Just because it's open right now and the Union's not, so if anyone wants to, places to sit and things to do.
Oh yeah, yeah, and the Union has never shut down. So we've had Union and Stewart Center open, and so we do have rooms in Stewart Center, and so we've been open this entire time. So if you're looking for a quiet place right now to study, it's a great place to come and study and kind of get away. We can turn the fireplaces on and all kinds of stuff for you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Zane, it looks like we've exhausted our questions in here, so thank you so much. We'll give you a round of applause in here if you can hear us.
Great, I appreciate it.
Just thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, we look forward to working with you more in the future. Okay, we'll give Zane a second to hop off there. Okay, we'll now move into our call to order. So proxy reports. I don't see any proxies in this room, but if there's any proxies online, if you could please just state your name and the senator who you're proxying for.
My name is Claire King, and I'm proxying for Brooke Hopfer.
Thank you, Claire. Anyone else? Okay, we'll now move into roll call.
Senator Wyrick.
Here.
Senator Ferguson.
Here.
Senator Hopfer. Oh, I got you.
Proxy.
Actually, yep. Senator Bonnet.
Here.
Senator Hockenberry.
Here.
Senator Lashane. Lashine?
Here.
How do you pronounce that?
It's Lasheen.
Lashine? Okay.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Senator Eingar.
Here.
Senator Dodonna.
Here.
Senator Chris.
Here.
Senator Beatty.
Here.
Senator Boftas.
Here.
Is that correct?
It's Booftis.
Booftis? Oh, Booftis. Okay. Senator Piara. Yeah, I butchered that. I'm
Yeah.
so sorry. Okay. Senator Jaw. Is she online? I see her. Senator Griffin Little.
Here.
Senator Davis.
Here.
Senator Reed.
Here?
Senator Cabrera. Senator Grisham.
Here.
Senator Light.
Here.
Senator McDaniel.
Here.
Senator Stowe.
Here.
Senator de Guzman.
Here.
Senator Coffin.
Here.
Senator Reynolds.
Here.
Senator Lennon,
Here.
Senator Kopp,
Here.
Senator Shavon,
Here.
Senator Shi.
Here.
Shai. All right. Roll call has been taken. Thank you, guys.
Okay, thank you. I'll now move into introduction of visitors. So if you're a visitor, if you could please just state your name, reason for being here. I know we have Emily and Richard in the back if you just want to push the button and introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Emily from the Exponent.
Hi, I'm Richard from the Exponent as a photographer.
Are there any other visitors online?
Yes. Hello, my name is Jared Florell. I am with the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, SAC. I'm here to support the Student Athlete Bill, as I was a co-author on that as well.
Thank you. Are there any other visitors online?
Yes, Tyler Lamar, co-executive director of D&I, here to support the mental health movie bill.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the Pledge of Purpose. I pledge allegiance to our purpose We'll now move into the approval of minutes. Are there any corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, the minutes are approved as distributed. Now move into executive reports. President Gilmore.
Hi, team. Not too much this week, but MHA is on Monday. Who's excited? Woo! Thank you for indulging me. That being said, bandanas. I know that Vice President Dar has brought some for us to do together
Only
tonight.
1,000.
Look at that. But there will still be a few boxes available in the office. Please, 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 if you have just a few minutes to spare, go ahead. I stapled some during my class. Should I have been taking notes? Absolutely. But priorities, right? No, seriously, if you can get some friends to go, we need to have them done. We have 80 plus events happening next week. And so if you have not downloaded Socio just yet, I would highly recommend. And please share in your classes, let your halls know, let your fraternities, sororities know, etc. But we're hoping that this will be a really big moment for campus. I don't think there has been a week yet on campus where there's been that much going on. And so I think students need it. And we're also really excited to announce a few initiatives that are happening. So this will outlive us as we're winding down the semester. Just really excited. Other than that, we have some bills coming up so we can talk about some of our final initiatives. And I put the University Senate report, if you were curious, from our February session on what bills passed conversations. A lot of it was about the Child Care Center. So not too much necessarily related to us specifically, but it is in the drive if you want to read it. And other than that, I think we met with Dean Katie, Dean Sermersheim, Dean of Students today, and talked about how, in terms of compliance to protect Purdue, it is kind of going down in terms of like people going to get their surveillance tests done and those sort of things. So if you hear anything, please let us know. I think they're trying to figure out what that policy is going to look like. They might tighten the reins a little bit. So if you're not going to your surveillance testing, which I hope that you all would be, but I would recommend doing so because I know they're watching that as well as following other Protect Purdue guidelines. Although the vaccine is coming out, it is our duty to protect ourselves, protect others, protect our Purdue community. So I do want to say that because it's on the university radar. Outside of this, I'm really excited to have some guests here tonight, and thank you.
Okay, thank you. On my end, the Great Upstates legislation, which you all so graciously passed many, many weeks ago, is finally up for a vote in EPC, and will hopefully be up at the March University Senate meeting. We met a few weeks ago with Ann Hazlitt and Susan Brock-Williams from GR, and so they're looking to do a little bit of student lobbying for a new nursing and pharmacy building, which I believe is going to be right by Lilly and kind of that open space, and we'll have a lot of interactive labs and collaborative spaces. So right now I'm looking for HHS and pharmacy students to write student letters and testimonials, or if you're outside of those majors and want to contribute, but those then will be sent to the committee at the state legislator who will be reviewing those and just getting some more student input to hopefully support the funding that the building needs to get started here in the next couple of years. And then if you have any questions about like your committee budget or the money that you're spending for M Hall, please feel free to reach out to myself, Pro Temp Griffin Little, our Treasurer Windler. We'd be happy to answer your questions. Many of you still have money left in your college funds, your committee funds, and we'd love to see you use it. And for the benefit of students, because we don't get to keep it, it all goes away at the end of the year. And then finally, just as a reminder, I know this seems crazy, but we only have 3 meetings plus our transition meeting left. So if your committee is working on a piece of legislation, yourself is working on a personal project, would love to see that come up in the next couple of meetings because unfortunately we don't have very many left. So that's it from me. Chief of Staff, Treasurer Windler, any other executive reports?
Yeah, so just one small thing from me is I asked the executive directors and their committees to go into the Google Drive and the tentative calendar and fill in their events that they have for the month. So you should go in there. It's all streamlined, so you'll be able to check out what GR is doing, what engagement's doing, sustainability, all of that. So it's an easy place to go look at that. Thanks. That's it for me.
Yes, Senior Policy Advisor.
As you probably know, the Reddit AMA happened yesterday, and we actually got like a lot of really good feedback. So first of all, it should be noted that the assessment committee wanted to partner up for this AMA and like get more information from the students directly about what they feel the J term, or how they feel about the J term, and what they feel are to be like the major cons that they see, or if they have like any ideas on like what they would like to see in the proposal itself that hasn't already been seen. So again, since you all are student representatives, I think it's important to point out the fact that tomorrow from 1 to 2 p.m., Provost Ackridge is having a campus-wide conversation regarding the J-term. So if you have any thoughts on what you would like to see in the proposal or any changes you would like to see, it might be really beneficial to get on and have that conversation as well. So apart from, we did get like a lot of really good feedback regarding the J-term, and which could really drive our conversations with administration further. It should be noted though that I was telling Assad about this, compared to last semester, just throwing some numbers at you, we got 18 upvotes last semester with like a 90% upvote ratio. This semester we got 15 upvotes with a 78% upvote ratio. So we did see like a little bit more, I don't want to say hate, but like hate, I guess. But I really don't think that that's a bad thing. In fact, like my personal philosophy is that people should be hating the government in all scenarios because it like really helps them stay accountable for what they do and like make sure that we are living up to a standard that our constituents want to see. So just, you know, if anything, this is probably like a really good thing. It shows that people are more aware of what Purdue student government's doing and like what kind of powers we do have. So, you know, continue like doing incredible work because all of you really are, and continue doing the initiatives that you really are passionate about because it's obviously having an effect.
Thank you. Any other executive reports? Yes, Secretary Gill.
Can you hear me? So I'm working with another senior to make hopefully a video for all the seniors. And we're hoping to include in that video some stats from each of the colleges on the graduating senior class. So I figured this would be a good place to reach out to each of you who represent your colleges and maybe get some stats. I've reached out to all of the deans, but I think a little more support from you guys would be helpful. So if you guys have any info or ideas or know where to reach out, please let me know. That's it. Thank you.
Is there something specific like you're looking for, Riley?
this up. No, you're fine. Yeah, so we did get one from Cranert, and it's basically where their ranking has been. Asada was mentioned. We like as outstanding students in the senior class. I'll find it. But basically, just kind of percentages on like graduation rate or where we stand or what department in that college has done really well. Things like that. Does that make sense? Is that a little more clear, I guess?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, any other executive reports? Okay, we'll move into committee reports.
Hannah, I'm so sorry. I did one of the interfaith prayer space because Muhammad brought it up. It is in Stewart 216, and I meant to say that when I went. But that's what Zane was referring to when he said this isn't our permanent location, and I didn't know that.
The one in Stewart?
Yeah. No, that is happening right there.
I wasn't sure. That's what I was asking about, because I knew it was a temporary one.
Yeah, no, perfect. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure you all knew that. It will go out with our MHA stuff, but I didn't want any confusion because I don't think he addressed that. We have one right now. It's open 24 hours. It's in Stewart 216.
Okay, perfect. Yes, Senator Wyrick.
Okay, Asada, I had a question about your meeting with D. Katie. If you talked about, Protect Purdue compliancy and things like that, I was wondering if she gave you any kind of inkling about vaccine rollout plans at all.
Unfortunately, we have not heard anything about the vaccine. I do know that that survey, which everyone should have gotten, went out. So they're trying to assess the need right now. I meet with Provost Ackridge tomorrow, so might have a little bit more information.
Yes, Senior Policy Advisor.
Sorry, on a similar note, I do have another question regarding Protect Purdue. I know last semester, President Daniels did have conversations with the bars on Chauncey and had them shut down or close a little bit earlier. I know recently the time limit has gone back up to 3 a.m. and they're allowing people more than 6 people per table again. So any updates regarding any regulations on that?
Yeah, I'm scrambling because I was just invited to the bar town hall. Sorry, I want to give you the accurate date. I believe it's going to be on March 6th, but I just pulled that out of my head. So March 4th, 10 a.m. on March 4th. I have not heard if it's going to be asked. I don't know if we're making requests. I don't actually really know the content, but I know that myself, William Evans from Reckwell, Esteban Ramirez, who I believe is the head doctor leading everything right now, as well as Dean Katie will be there. And so we'll hopefully have more information. That's on a Thursday, so the following Senate session, or I can even send out an email that night to let everyone know what was discussed.
Thank you. Internal Affairs, do you have any committee updates?
Yeah, our last meeting, we talked over and kind of solidified the student-athlete Senate seat bill that we'll be looking at today. And then we also talked more about our MHA event. Senator Stowe is doing some really awesome work, and I'm very excited to see it all come to fruition.
Thank you. Financial Affairs.
So on FA side, the PSG Small Grant Guidelines are officially in operation. We've received our first application and did some reviewing in the last couple of meetings. So that's going to take up a lot of FA's time right now, is reviewing all those applications and giving out some of those grant money. Additionally, we've been working on our MHA event in conjunction with CSRA and working on some other projects as well, all from FA.
CSRA.
We've started working on some legislation and started working on a couple new projects that we look forward to.
And UAA.
Always saving the best for last. So UAA had a meeting with Dr. SS again, and it went really well. We got some answers about the possibility of adding a diversity question, and good news is that they did redo the course evaluations, and there was a required question about inclusivity, which is really good. And for our MHA event, we are making stress balls, but we are also going to advertise everything we've learned about the infographics because they're trying to increase student responses. So everyone on my committee, please check Slack so that we can get it done and hopefully made very soon. So please check Slack.
Can we, Asada and I, get some info about the survey question?
Yeah,
We're meeting
they're
with
allowed to
President
be, like,
Daniels next
advertised
week,
out-
and
sorry.
he's very excited and on board with it and wants to support it. So if we have some information to pass on, that would be great.
Yeah, we're allowed to advertise the required questions, so I can talk to you.
Okay, perfect. Okay, any informal discussion? Yes, Senator Reed.
All right, so as I kind of hinted at earlier, Zane talked to the Student Affairs Committee, and that was more on the Union Hotel side, as well as pricing. And one thing I just wanted to bring up was for student organizations. I know renting some of the ballrooms, that number's been all over the place. It is still free for registered student organizations. The North and South ballrooms will require a $250 setup fee, but for all other function space, setup fee may apply if setup is completed. I don't know, that last word's weird, but yeah. As well as food has a 20% discount. So the affiliated organizations and unaffiliated organization prices do not apply to registered student organizations. They can still rent those rooms for free. I believe it is limited to one room every week, and then you need to register like a semester in advance or something. That's a whole other complicated thing as far as how frequent you can do that, but it is still free and you don't need to pay the $2,000. So, yeah.
Thank you. Any other informal discussion? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into old business. Do I hear any old business? Okay. Seeing none, we'll move into new business. Do I hear any new business? Yes, Senator Reed.
Motion to bring up Bill 2060.
Okay, it's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2060, creation of a student senator position. So we'll start with discussion from the authors and then open it up to the floor.
Yeah, so I can get started a little bit before I allow Jared to speak. So before we get started, I just wanted to thank both of the committees that I worked with to make this bill possible, and for all your patience. This is the first time I've ever written a bill, so I really, really appreciate your grace and your patience with me. But yeah, to just dive right in. So this bill works to not only give specific representation to the over 570 varsity student athletes at Purdue, but also works to increase the visibility, accessibility, and transparency of PSG all across campus. So although I do believe, academic college constituencies currently represented in Senate are well-intentioned and do positive work for this campus and, do really great things, quite frankly, not everyone has a seat at the table. And so I think, this bill, does it have to be the first step towards that? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. But we think that, student athletes as a whole really deserve to have a say and are really underrepresented for the, large population that they have and the unique student experience that they have. Before anybody has any questions or any debate, I'd like to toss it over to Jared to kind of share a little bit about his experience as a student athlete. He is the president of SAC, as you mentioned previously, and I've worked with him and Samara Miller a lot on drafting this bill and really making sure, the student athlete perspective is represented and to really understand why specifically this position is needed. So, Jared, take it away.
Yeah, thank you, Olivia. And I'd just like to say thanks again for all your hard work on this bill, to Matthew as well. You guys were awesome throughout the process. So yeah, like she mentioned, I'm the president-elect of our Student Athlete Advisory Committee, which basically serves as a liaison between student athletes and our athletic administration on campus. So a lot of the work we do is similar to what PSG does. We advocate for student athlete needs. We work to program different events for student athletes outside of just their normal daily routines of practice and competition. We have participated in Mental Health Week for the past 2 years. We do a lot of similar things, but one thing that we continue to hear from exit interviews from student athletes after they graduate is that they feel like they're siloed from the rest of the university, and they don't see opportunities to get involved with other student organizations that they feel like would have benefited there. college experiences, and they don't get exposure to other student leaders outside of athletics. So over the past 2 years, we've built a great relationship with PSG, and been able to really promote some of the awesome work that you guys do. But within that, we saw kind of an opportunity to continue to partner, and possibly get student athlete representation on the PSG Senate. And one thing that I think is important to note, is that, like Olivia said, the student athlete experience is quite different than the non-student athlete experience. And I think with that, there comes some stigma around student athletes, and athletics in general at Purdue, that it's less accessible for non-athletes to get access to student athletes. And I even know it's hard for PSG and other student leaders to get access to our administration within athletics. And we face some of those similar challenges as student athletes, as student athlete leaders within SAC. We have a hard time meeting with our administration. It's hard to get it kind of up the ladder, some of the concerns that we have for our student athletes. So we just feel like this would be an awesome opportunity to get another avenue for student athletes to voice some of the concerns that are unique to their experience at Purdue, as well as contribute to some of the amazing work that PSG already does. Thank you.
And any of the other authors like to speak?
I just wanted to add a couple more things onto that. Thank you, Jared. I just wanted to include that SAC and student athletes as a whole are not a student organization. They're under athletics. So they're kind of governed by this independent body, and they don't necessarily, again, have a seat at the table, have the ear, really have that advocating like channel to administration or to, the academic voice that we have greater access to. PSG has a bigger scope of campus influence. So this is really, a great opportunity for them to kind of have an avenue for advocacy. And I would also like to remind everyone that this is only the creation of one Senate seat. This is not three, like a traditional academic college constituency. It's just one Senate seat. So thank you.
Okay, we'll now open it up to discussion from the floor. Yes, Pro Temp Griffin Little.
Hi, so I think I wanted to touch on a bit of the sort of history and evolution of Senate, and that it is my understanding that I believe like 10 or so years ago that Senate used to not just be academic colleges, and it had, I believe, like a diversity rep, a Greek life, I believe a student athlete, like different forms of representation beyond just academics, and then that was changed. So I did want to point that out, and I also wanted to yield 2 minutes to Dr. King, our advisor, to speak a bit on sort of the evolution that Senate has gone through to sort of make sure we're all on the same page of how we have gotten to this point and why these seats were dissolved, and if then sort of we can go from there to decide if we think we should sort of bring back non-academic representation, which I think is sort of the crux of this sort of debate we'll be having. So I will yield 2 minutes to Dr. King.
Dr. King, you've been yielded 2 minutes.
All right, thank you all. I'll bring what information I know. You can always look in archives and work with Sammy, who is a previous presenter here, a couple maybe in the fall. So just so you know, it was probably about 20 years ago that that Senate included a fraternity sorority, a IOC senator, a Panhellenic senator, a athletic senator. Those Senate seats that is how student government was structured. It even had the graduate student senator. Graduate students then broke away and started their own graduate student government, same day and time as we know. And then from there, and I don't know the why, so I do want to clear up. It was before my time, but the transition was to focus only on academic. But there was a mechanism in place to have those voices that were not heard in a different capacity. And so that was the President's Roundtable. And it had, and I was here for that, it had a person from SAC IFC, all of, I would say, the leader organizations or the council organizations, and the student body president ran those meetings with our office. As time has ebbed and flowed, PSG has said yes, we have said no, and organizing that just because we didn't have the staff. We are already in plans to make the President's Roundtable start again in fall of 21. So folks can have have the voice, the students that you are talking about. So wanted to get some, there was also a, was called Core Senator, Rights and Equality, basically a minoritized student Senate seat. And it was probably 2 years it was in session, and then they voted to X that because it was not affiliated with a college. And did we want to give those students the votes? And it was all to increase the diversity of Senate. So I would challenge you all to think about, what do you want? And then where is the stopping line, right? And so it's lots of people that want a seat at the table or voices at the table. So, do you stop with Fraternity and Sorority Life? Do you stop with SAC? Do you stop with the COREC and their advisory council, the BCC and bands? Just thinking about what it is that you want to do and you're trying to provide. But there is history. And just so you know, the senators who were like that, I've met a couple of people that were the Panhellenic senator at the time, and they were part of chaining themselves to the union and protesting on behalf of some things that were happening on campus. So great history there, but it has ebbed and flowed over the years. So what you put in place today, I remember when Senate seats were only 2 people and now they're 3. Just know that people can vote and change it in different leadership. So just putting all that on the table as information, take it, leave it, do what you want. This is your student organization. I wholeheartedly believe in that. But we also understand we, as in the Student Activities Office, want to make sure that students' voices are heard in various mechanisms. So yes, that's all I'll say. And I'm gonna just put out here, to totally embarrassing him, happy birthday, Jared. Early birthday. Okay, I'm done speaking. Thank you.
All right, any other discussion? Senator Reynolds.
Hello, I would like to hear, Jared, as a student athlete, I would like to hear your opinion about, because Olivia mentioned that this was brought up, about a student athlete serving as a delegate or in a committee position instead. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, I think that is, as Martia mentioned, like that's been done in the past to some extent. But I think, and I'm not completely clear on, the difference between serving in a committee. And the one thing that I do know is that the voting power is something that Olivia has highlighted and that we feel would be important for the student athlete in this position. Specifically given that, while a student athlete could serve on one of these committees and have their input be heard, feeling that if that right isn't given to the student athlete, that maybe they'll be left out of some things, or the opinion or the just the opinion of the student athlete would be left out of some of the important issues. Again, I think to whatever capacity that we can continue to be involved in PSG's organization will be excellent and awesome. But I do feel, and we feel as though that the voting power will be important moving forward.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Senator Reed.
Yeah, Senator Reynolds pretty much covered my first question, but I'd like to ask it in a slightly different way. Why, so you guys mentioned a lot about increasing the voice of varsity athletes in student government, as well as able to contribute and voice their concerns. So why specifically, when you looked at the organization, did you guys focus on adding a Senate seat and not adding, some position in the executive, or, going through the delegate option, which is already in the Constitution and could be implemented tomorrow?
Yeah, I can take this one first. I would say specifically the reason we looked at Senate in particular as opposed to, delegation or, ad hoc committee or even something in board of directors is, Jared touched a little bit on the voting power and things like that, but also I think Senate is unique in that, what we say, what we do moves forward. It goes beyond us. It goes to different bodies. It goes, it could eventually end up on President Daniels' desk. And I think that power and that visibility and, that greater scope of campus influence is what makes Senate really unique. And I think specifically that's why we chose, to look into a Senate position in particular.
Any other discussion?
I'm on the Zoom.
Oh, go ahead, Senator Beatty.
Okay, I'll direct this question to whoever can answer it. Maybe Pro Temp Griffin Little, but so I was wondering why, like, originally or like before this, academic senators were the only ones, or like why it got changed. Sorry.
Griffin Little.
So, as Martia mentioned, she does not know exactly why, nor do I, but I believe it had something to do with two sort of concepts. So, one of certain students being overrepresented in certain situations. So, like minority students within their college, and like Greek life, if they're in all three, they would have a lot of representation that other students just would not. And also, I believe a lack of interest in filling the seats as well also has something to do with it. And also, people like to change things about the Constitution all the time, so it might be that as well. So I'm not exactly sure why, but I would say that these types of changes did occur quite a lot, and I guess it makes sense that we are now debating it now because it seems like it's about time to discuss it again. So,
Senator Bonnet.
I'll just kind of bring up what we talked about at caucus. I think this is a bigger scale issue, at least for me personally, when I look at this vote, is I'm staring at potentially a Pandora's box of bills that could come flooding down of like students who are employed full-time, students who are parents, like the list goes on and on of things that can create a very unique and different college experience for you. And so while I think student athletes are important and their voices deserve to be heard, it's like if I do that for you, then I need to do that for everyone else to make the playing field equal, is at least the perspective I have. And so it's not really a question, that's just the point of like my perspective and where I'm coming into this vote.
Any other discussion? Pro Temp Griffin Little.
Also, a bit less of a question and more just as an observation is that I am not necessarily not in support of this bill. I do think that the way Senate currently operates definitely has room for improvement. I don't necessarily think every student is being heard in every situation, and it's clear that there are issues amongst the student athlete population that need to be addressed, and it might be that a specific representative might be the best way to do that. I've also had RAs come out and reach out to me saying that they would like a Senate seat, so there's been support amongst various populations to change the way that Senate operates, and I think that is not necessarily a bad nor idea, and that I am not necessarily in support of this bill now, not because I don't want to change Senate, but I believe it will require a sort of complete overhaul of how Senate operates, because I don't believe that we will be able to have these 11 colleges and then one student athlete, because people are going to want to have their own voices heard, their own representative. And I believe we will all need to come to some sort of consensus about which groups we would like to have direct representation. And I don't think piecemealing it by just having people come to us should be how we decide to do that. So I think as I stand currently, this is a good idea, and there probably is room more for more representation, but I don't think this is necessarily the best way to go about it, and we'll probably need a bit more thought in how we are going to be deciding how to go about adding more seats.
Senator Wyrick.
Yeah, thank you, Senator Bonnet and Senator Griffin Little, for that input. And I definitely understand your perspective. You know, if we say no to this today, I'm not going to go home and cry. But I think really the conversation that we're having today and the dialogue that we're having about, you know, how effective are our positions right now. Do I feel like I can, you know, correctly or actively represent every single member of the College of Ag and every single, you know, problem and issue and advocacy point that they have? No, it's a very big college. It's a very diverse college. But I think, you know, taking a look at, you know, the mission of our organization, the mission of this body, and what we're trying to do on this campus, and kind of taking a look at how this body can reflect that mission. I think, you know, even if we don't get this done today, keeping that in the back of your head moving forward, I think is really important. So thank you guys for your input.
Any further discussion? Senator Bonnet.
I'll yield 2 minutes to the president.
President Gilmore.
Thank you, Senator Bonnet. Thank you so much for joining us today, Jared. I did want to ask if thanks, Alex. I did want to ask, and I absolutely agree. I think that Alex and Sammy brought up great points. That Olivia, you worked so hard on this piece of legislation. I think even if it doesn't pass, we do need to take a moment to say, like, you sparked a really, really important conversation. And so athletics, it also represents a large minority population, right? It represents a large international population. And so I think that sometimes we would love for Purdue student government to naturally be a space where everyone, we would love for these diversity, sexual orientation, but when that doesn't happen naturally, spaces, so that way it can be set up in the future. And so I think that this is a wonderful start. But again, I really appreciate what you all brought to the table, and I'm with you, Olivia. If it doesn't happen, you keep pushing and adapting. But Jared, sorry, back to you. I did want to ask if there's anything that PSG has pursued in the past or recent weeks that you think athletic maybe changed the outcome or added additional material, or maybe is there something that you're pursuing right now and you think that PSG could help you achieve that goal, or something that, like, this bill would really help athletics in a specific way?
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I think is unique to the student athlete is the travel that comes along with competing in your sport. And I know recently PSG had a bill that they said that they wanted some changes to the absence policy in terms of medical and grief absence. And I know that has been a friction point for a lot of student athletes with professors in the past, where if you have a competition out of state and need to leave, sometimes professors aren't willing to grant you that absence because they don't deem that it's dire or as important as their class, which I think is untrue, because a lot of times student athletes are here on scholarship and athletics pays for their school. While both are equally important, like, the main reason that student athletes are coming to school is to get a degree. So while we don't want to miss exams and have to miss classes due to competitions, like, it'd be great if they were all on the weekends. That's just not how that works out. And putting student athletes in that position has been challenged to a lot of student athletes in the past, and I think unfairly. So I just think having the perspective of the student athlete on bills like this would be extremely important, because, you know, it's not something that the regular student has to really think about. But for student athletes, this is something that sometimes you have to get involved with the dean at your college and get you know, athletic administration to have a conference call, and it's just another hoop that we have to jump through on a more individual level. But if we had somebody on Senate here bringing these issues up, and just to be added as an antidote to some of these bills that you guys are already doing a lot of great work for students. I think it could be super beneficial for the student athletes.
Senator Bonnet.
And I just want to be very clear that regardless of whether this bill passes or not, I think Olivia brings up a great point in that we want more communication and we want more dialogue with our constituencies. So even if this doesn't pass, like, we definitely want to work with you guys. We want to work with athletes to make sure your issues are heard and looking for more pathways to get you guys involved. This is not us trying to shut you out.
Any other discussion? Pro Tem Griffin Little.
This will be my last comment. I know I talked a lot, but I did want to say that I really appreciate seeing people writing legislation that they're passionate about. This is exactly the type of discussion that we should be having like every meeting. And I hope that this will lead to, IA especially and other senators who are passionate about looking at how Senate operates in the future to sort of come together and discuss the best version of Senate for years to come. Because that really is what we're here for, is to figure out how to best serve the needs of our constituents. And I am really excited and proud to see Olivia write her first bill, and I don't want any of this sort of debate to discourage future legislation writing, and also to just encourage senators to write about bills that they're passionate about. It doesn't have to be specifically related to your college or anything. So just good job, Olivia, and thank you to Jared and everyone else who came to voice their concerns tonight.
Thank you. Is there any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, we will now move into a vote. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. If you're online, please raise your thumb. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? For those of you online, we're going to do the no's again. So if you vote no and you're online, can you please let us know again? And if you're online, abstentions again. Okay, with a vote of 8 to 6, I think it doesn't pass, but I think I'm going to need a clarification.
Can we call like a 5-minute recess? Because I'm not sure if it needs a 50% vote for.
Or 2/3. Okay.
Is our parliamentarian on?
Yes, I was just going to say, Josh, this is a constitutional amendment, and I'm thinking we might need 2/3.
Yes, let me take a look at the documents really quick.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so this is actually an amendment to the standing rules, or like, the actual rules of the Senate. So adding a Senate seat is, I presume, what this is about, correct?
Correct. Constitutional
You
amendment,
need
yeah.
a 2/3 majority vote.
Okay, so with a vote of 8-6, Bill 2060 does not pass. Do I hear any other new business? Senator Davis.
Motion to bring up Bill 2061. Second.
It's been properly motion and seconded to bring up Bill 2061, Mina Harris budget allocation. So we'll start with discussion from the authors and then move into discussion from the floor.
So, can I start with our friendly amendment?
Sure, yeah.
Well, I can't propose
You can
it.
propose an amicable amendment, but it's like just you and me that would accept it, so I accept.
Okay, awesome. So, she is, we aren't necessarily supposed to, that's not why we're bringing her. She's also a notable author, New York Times bestseller. She has a phenomenal woman, and it is just a powerhouse. Saw the Breonna Taylor shirts that a lot of WNBA players are wearing. Lovely blouse that says, per my last email, very cute, but a lot of really cute clothing that various initiatives and efforts across the country. Really a spokesperson for women's rights, phenomenal speaker, phenomenal writer. Really, really excited, especially during all of the accomplishments of the many women and men in this organization. And so we are going through the contract process right now, working with Hall of Music, and it won't be, hopefully it'll be less than this as well, but we would like to change the amount to $20,000 as opposed to $25,000. She has recently lowered her rate, and the quote we finally got back than we thought it would be. So if I can't necessarily propose that, but if a senator would do that for us, that'd be wonderful. But if you have any questions about the event, it'll be free to students, a Q&A style. We'll open it up as soon as possible. We're getting graphics and other things approved from her team right now, and we think it'll be a really great event for campus.
It's on March 15th. Senator Bonnet.
So President Gilmore, you can actually, I think we said, propose this as an amicable amendment, so you don't even need us. You can do it as long as Hannah's going to agree with you.
Hannah?
I accept.
Well, proposed.
Okay, Senator Chris.
So my question is, why is it so much money? Like, is she coming like in person, or is it going to be like a Zoom, basically? Like, is it going to be a $20,000 Zoom? That seems kind of excessive, but I don't know.
Yeah, so that's a great question. So her fee right now is $15,000, and the other portion of the money goes to Hall of Music for producing the event. We didn't just want it to be, we want it to be streamed, so accessible to everyone within the Purdue community, no capacity limit via YouTube. She is quite accomplished, and so in terms of a speaker fee and the caliber of people that we bring to campus, and so this aligns with those that have been brought to the Office of Diversity and Inclusion, other speakers that have come through campus, both in person and online. And so that was the lowest that she would go.
And we're thinking that after everything shakes out, it should be closer to $18,000, but keep it at $20,000 for some wiggle room. Senator Chris.
One more question, sorry. Just like, what will she be like talking about? Is it going to be like, because it says student involvement, and I was just that's extremely vague, so I was just curious about if there was something a little more specific there.
Absolutely. So she's going to take us through her journey through her higher education journey and how student involvement played an active role into her activism, into her journey to being an author, into being a public speaker, into leading a national and now global campaign, and how it's important to uplift young women in the community. Her focus is women, but it's very inclusive format. She'll be taking Q&A from the audience, and hopefully we'll be able to partner with like the CELD office. D&I has already agreed to do a lot of promotional material for us. And it'll really be an open discussion from someone who is quite successful within the activism community, as well as like if you want to learn how to be an author and all those sorts of things, and leading her campaign.
Senator Bonnet.
Just as a clarifying question, even though she does have somewhat of a political affiliation, this conference or like meeting will not have any political scenario to it?
No, it will not. And there's actually been an executive order that prohibits that sort of, there won't be any questions associated. I mean, you might get a question of like, this is a really big moment in history for women because of first woman vice president, but there will be no sort of affiliation. We actually were told we really can't bring up her name or associate her besides maybe in the intro, but even that.
Yes, and that is in the contract and in an executive order from President Biden. Senator Wyrick.
Yeah, also big fan of Mina Harris. Follow her on TikTok. She's really funny. Besides that, there's actually been kind of like some new policy. You know, she's obviously the niece of our vice president, but there's kind of been some new policy where she's worked, not necessarily to distance herself from Vice President Harris, but kind of the White House has said, hey, don't profit off your aunt. So yeah, to kind of piggyback on what Asada said, I expect a lot of separation between politics there.
Senator Chris.
This is a question for everyone, I guess. Do you think that is like that separation is happening because like the White House told her to stop, or did she kind of start doing that before the White House even said it, or does anybody even know? Because that's just a very vague question also.
Unfortunately, she did not call me. Did not call me to tell me what happened. So don't know right now. But regardless, I know that we don't want to get in trouble. We know she doesn't want to get in trouble. And also, this is a bipartisan event, right? We don't want it to be tarnished by those sort of conversations anyway. So I think we're excited to just hear about her book, her journey through higher education. I know she has a lot of wisdom within the Boilermaker community. But if we do receive any insight call, you will be the first to know.
Senator Reed.
I was just curious how this cost compared to the cost of some of the speakers from last year's MHO?
Great question. So last year, our speaker Demetrius Harmon was $25,000. And 2 years ago, PSG brought in Damon John for $50,000. So this is significantly less expensive than some of the keynote events we typically bring in. Senator Wyrick.
Anecdotally, I would also like to say, as a member of the MHA committee, we looked at Brene Brown and she was insane. So this is a pretty awesome price.
$175,000.
Senator Reed.
I just have one other little thing. I know you mentioned this would be streamed on YouTube. I think this would be a good opportunity to get more people to subscribe to the PSG YouTube.
Thanks, Senator Reed. We always love that. Senator Bonnet.
This is more just a point of order. If it drops to $20,000, do you even need to have us approve it? Because
it's $2,500.
Shit, never mind. Sorry. I'd like to think big. I like to think our budgets are. It's good.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote. All those in favor of Bill 2061, Mina Harris budget allocation, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. And then any abstentions? Okay, that adds up. All right, with a bill of 23-1-0, Bill 2061 passes. Any other new business? Senator Daytona.
Motion to bring up Bill 2062.
It's been properly motioned, seconded to bring up Bill 2062, Movies for Mental Health Online Fund, for Senate approval. We'll start with discussion from the authors and then move into discussion from the floor. So Tyler, I know that you are online if you want to start, or Zeba or Karthik.
Perfect. I think I'm the only one on here right now. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. So this is for our M-Hall week event. Hold on, my camera's looking a little weird. But this is Movies for Mental Health. So it'll be next Thursday, March 4th, from 6 to 8 p.m. And what it pretty much is, it is the company, so Art with Impact, who we'll be partnering with. They are creating some short films for us, around 3 to 5 minutes each, that will be very diverse in the areas of different mental health topics that I initially told them that are kind of important to students here on campus, around depression, anxiety, stress, things like that. So these will be centered specifically for Purdue students. And after these mental health movies, then we'll move into a discussion, going into some mind and body exercises that students can practice, whether they are in quarantine or just having a hard time in school, to help them kind of progress through the semester. And then it'll lead to a panel of 2 students, and then 2, actually it'll be a student, 2 CAPS representatives, and then a representative from the NAMI Lafayette chapter, to kind of go over more of these topics in detail from a very knowledgeable aspect. And then it will lead into and final with a Q&A at the end of this session. So this is something that's a little bit different from what's been seen before for MHA events and just events in general here at the school. So it's very artistic edge, and I think it'll be something very cool for the university to take part in. And then the event is $3,000.
Thank you. Is there any discussion at this time? Senator Didona?
I just want to state my support, particularly for this bill and sort of event that's being hosted through it. It's fantastic, and it's clear that the committee has done a ton of work. On a side note, the budget is beautiful. I've never seen a prettier budget, and it's evident that they put a ton of work and thought into this proposal and event.
Pro Temp Griffin Little?
Excuse me, that leads perfectly into my question, which is, I don't believe every senator has seen the budget. So if you could just briefly, direct it to the author, just go over the budget and what, just like you're expecting to spend, like the budget on, just not, you don't have to go into too specific, just sort of the general, so we all are kind of aware of how the funds will be spent.
Yeah, definitely. So I guess as far as how the funds will be spent, most of it is the facilitation through the group that we're partnering with, so Art with Impact. And then also a lot of that is going through publication materials. So for Instagram, there's a website created, a portal for people to register on, and then also for the facilitation of the platform. So it is on BBB, which is, I think, Big Blue Tooth something. I can't remember the exact name, but this is a certain platform that's set up specifically for this event with Art with Impact that will specifically tailor to this type of discussion that will be created. And that's kind of like the gist of what everything will be spent on.
Any other discussion? Senator Reed.
So I guess this is more of a question directed towards the treasurer. In the PSG 2020-2021 budget, are all of these expenses for the proposed legislation and the recently passed legislation factored in as committed in the budget? I'd like to yield the treasurer 2 minutes.
Go ahead, Treasurer Windler.
Yeah, so they are. So right now the budget has $20,000 remaining. And that is including the $20,000 just allocated, and then also the $3,000 on the table to allocate, and then they're marked as allocated in the budget.
Any other discussion? President Gilmore. Well, Senator Bonnet.
Well, I'll yield 2 minutes to the president.
I don't really have a question, sorry Tyler, but I do want to take this time to say, especially for senators that hopefully continue on, that we're about to be in March, and so we only have 3 sessions left, but use your money. And so I'm really, really proud of the D&I committee for bringing an initiative to the table that does use money. Greg had to remind me earlier today that I shouldn't be not, what was the word that you said? Embarrassed about spending our budget. It's things that are progressing the student population. And if there are big ticket events that you all want to host or legislation that you want to support or things like that, please do so, because we're getting to the end of the year. I know last year it was great. We were able to the rest of our funds to ACE Campus Food Pantry and utilize it for COVID services, but really it's yours. And that's why we come and we ask Senate for permission to do those things. And so if there's something that you would prefer to do, please bring it to the table. And specifically before we get to March, April, right, when you guys are heading out the door. But it's not a bad thing to use up our budget. And so I wanted to make sure you know that. And if there's something you still want to do, per Greg, we've still got time and we still got some money.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2062, Movies for Mental Health Online Fund for Senate approval. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. Count one more time. All those opposed, same sign. Okay, and then any abstentions? Okay, with a unanimous vote, Bill 2062 passes. Any other new business? Senator Buftas.
Motion to bring up Bill 63.
It's been properly motioned and seconded to bring up Bill 2063, renewal of PSG ad hoc committee for the housing crisis on campus. I will defer to Pro Tem Griffin Little as the author to start our discussion.
Hello, everyone. So returning senators might be familiar with the housing ad hoc committee. I believe it has happened for at least the last 2 years. It has not been renewed this year because there's been less of a need for it, because the original purpose behind this committee was to look at the housing crisis that Purdue has experienced. So thinking of all of the students who committed, who were put into transitional housing for months and months, and just the general lack of housing on campus. That's been less of an issue this year, I guess, thanks to COVID, I guess. But the reason I'm looking to have it re-upped is because an RA reached out to me looking to increase RA involvement within PSG, and he decided that an ad hoc committee would be the best way to do that. So I thought just re-upping the committee that we've had in the past would be the best way to do that. Sort of looking to have RAs, off-campus people, just people who live on campus, Greek life, could all come together and sort of look at housing throughout campus. And I thought that this would be the most appropriate and time-sensitive way to look at this, because a lot of the issues are time-sensitive regarding COVID regulations and how our RAs are expected to deal with those. So that's sort of the reasoning behind this bill. If there are any questions, let me know.
Senator Reed.
So my only question is, so this was originally an ad hoc committee to address like temporary housing and how there were a significant portion of students that were like literally in basements without walls and stuff. And as far as I'm aware, that's not really as big of an issue now or happening now. And I guess I was just curious if that is the housing crisis that the namesake of this ad hoc committee is referring to, or if it can just be interpreted more as, COVID-19 housing crisis.
I would say you don't have to read too much into it. It doesn't specify specifically the crisis that it is targeting, and I sort of reworked it to include some COVID-19 measures, so you can read sort of the latter whereas statements and see that it has a sort of a new directed sense of, responsibility. So I would say it is definitely applicable to housing crises in many senses, including the crisis that COVID has brought to, housing and RAs, as well as the, additional, because the scope was increased last year to look at sort of off-campus housing
and how the affordability of, apartments have decreased due to, all the high rises and everything. So the scope has evolved naturally in the past, so I figured it could do so again this year.
Senator Wyrick.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention really briefly, I think I kind of joked about it in caucus. I magically became the chairperson of this committee last year. It's how I became involved in PSG. I just kind of showed up to a meeting. That Purdue's housing crisis is something I'm personally really passionate about, so I'd like to express my support for this position. But in terms of its evolution and what that really looks like now, and I know Alex mentioned a little bit about, getting the RA perspective, Greek life perspective. I can speak a little bit on that in particular. The way that Protect Purdue and Protect Purdue, the word is not in my mind right now, but managers, like case managers for Protect Purdue, the extra hoops and the extra double standard and the miscommunication that Greek housing has had to go through with Protect Purdue would blow your mind. I have some pretty crazy stories I could share. But I think this committee and the evolution that it needs for this semester and this unprecedented time in particular is really, really important. So I'm super happy to see it hopefully coming back.
Any other discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll move into a vote on Bill 2063, renewal of PSG Ad Hoc Committee for Housing Crisis on Campus. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, with a unanimous vote, Bill 2063 passes. Do I hear any other new business? Senator Reynolds.
Motion to bring up Bill 2064.
Okay, it's been probably motion seconded to bring up Bill 2064, the 2021 through 2022 Student Activity Fee Report. So we'll start with the authors and then move into discussion from the floor. As a reminder, this bill is not amendable.
Okay. Or in caucus, one thing I forgot to mention is this bill required 2 readings. Anyway,
Oh, okay, yes.
so the bill is amendable?
It
Okay.
just, yeah, okay.
Okay, I would like to make one amendment. Does someone else have to read it?
I think if you're opposing it as an amicable amendment, it's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to propose an amicable amendment to page 26 of the PDF about the SOGA rationale funding. So I can send this to Riley at the end. But I would like to propose, instead of saying, however, spending was lowered to the virtual/online nature of some events, I would like to have the text state spending is anticipated to be lower due to the virtual online natures of some events. And this is just because we didn't take any funding away from student groups yet, and we're not planning on it. Student groups still have their funding until the end of the year, and we're just anticipating that less funding will be given.
Okay, thanks. If you could send that over to Riley, and sorry for speaking on the amendments. All right. So Treasurer Windler, as the author, do you have anything else that you'd like to say about the report?
I don't know if any members of the SFAB board are online on Zoom, but if any of those members would like to add anything, you can.
As the advisor, so I'll just give some context. Please note, and I don't know if I'm allowed to speak. Oh, wait, here we go. Just to give some context that you are not voting on the price changes. I don't think Greg has stated that. You're not voting on the amounts. You're voting on if the board has done their job of adhering to the guidelines that are in their constitution and in the way that they can fund. So just to be clear, the Senate Senate does not vote on the amounts, they vote on the process. Just want to be clear.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Pro Temp Griffin Little.
I know we talked about a bit in caucus, but could you sort of discuss how COVID-19 has impacted how funding was awarded to organizations?
Yeah, so short answer, it won't. We asked every group to have a plan A and a plan B if that was applicable for like a large in-person event. All groups presented their plan A, so how they would do it if COVID did not exist. And then all groups are asked, what is your plan B if COVID still does exist or you are unable to hold this large event?
Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll take a vote on Bill 2064, 2021 through 2022 Student Activity Fee Report. All those in favor, please raise your name placards. All those opposed, same sign. Any abstentions? Okay, with a unanimous vote, Bill 2064 passes. Do I hear any other new business? Oh yeah, we haven't been clapping tonight. I don't know why. This is for all the bills. Great work. All right. Seeing none, we will move into announcements. Are there any announcements?
MHA is next week. Woo! I know we talked about it, but I'm so happy to see your events on there. If you haven't gotten Socio yet, you can get it and you can go on and register to your own event, put it on your calendar. We're going to be doing bandanas tonight, but I promise you there are 2 to 3 more boxes in the office. So grab a pal, grab your partner, grab your dog. I don't know if they're allowed in craft, but come on by, help us get these bandanas done. Yeah, I think that's all. And please go to events. It's for you all, a great opportunity to interact with the rest of your constituency, and also take some time to de-stress and figure out what you can do in your daily routine to alleviate some tension and be your best self.
Senator Bonnet.
If you haven't picked up your Valentine's Day bag and you are currently here, see me. I'm the Valentine's Fairy and I have your bag.
Thank you, Senator Bonnet. So if you don't know what we're talking about with Socio, I'm going to tell you about it right now because you all need to get it. So wherever you get your apps from, all you have to do is search Socio. It's a little orange icon and it has like some white dots in it. So what you do is you download that app and then you just search Mental Health Action Week and you click the event and you have to enter an event code. It's MHAW, so MHAW. And then that will let you in, and so it has an agenda for the events for the entire week. So you, for example, click on Monday, you could scroll through the events, see, is this virtual, is this in person, get the length of the event, the details that you need, and then you can even add it to your personal calendar and set up a reminder on your phone, so it'll remind you to go to the event that you signed up for. And so it's just an easy way to get all of the information for the entire week and just keep in touch. We can also send out announcements and reminders through that app. So really encourage you to get that so you can be involved and in the know during MHAW week.
Also for the town hall that Senior Policy Advisor Sangal mentioned, Hannah will be representing PSG. So please stop by, or if you know anyone specifically who has a concern and wants to converse about it with Hannah and higher administration, please direct them there because that is their opportunity.
In case you weren't incentivized enough, there are at least 3 events involving succulents. There's donuts, there's cookies. Like, there is stuff at stake here, ladies and gentlemen. There is stuff at stake.
All right, anyone else? Any other announcements? Yes, I'm sorry, Shannon, Chief of Staff.
I'm not picking favorites, I promise, but the Blue Nile restaurant has said they will donate 10% of all their proceeds for the entire week to our MHAW charities, and they are so generous. So I would highly, highly recommend you guys go try them. So good. It's carry out only, but yes, just highly recommend them.
Get the hummus and get the pita. It's my favorite restaurant. Or the falafel. Okay, any other announcements? Okay, we'll move into Senate snaps. So I gotta find my gloves, but if anyone wants to kick us off with any snaps, feel free to jump right in.
I have one. I would like to give snaps to Veronica and Asada and Sammy and all the other, and Hannah, to all the MHA team, big snaps, because this is an incredible show of what PSG can do, and I'm so excited for MHA, and it's going to be really great. So snaps to them.
Yeah, I'm gonna shout out some of my favorite ladies because I also can't stop talking tonight. Major shout out to Olivia. You've been one of those people I've gotten really close with this year. You killed it with your bill, and I'm just so proud that you're the future of PSG, and I'm so excited to see what you're gonna do. Major shout out to Veronica, who's been answering all my texts and emails all week obsessively. Thank you for just being you. Oh my god, this is scary. Yes, I'll go.
I want to give a snap to Muhammad. It is his first time in Fenler. We got to chat on the stairs. Thank you. You came, you asked a question, you floor, and so that is not a small. So thank you for being here.
Don't worry, my MHA ones will come. Okay, I promise. Thank you so much. I want to give one to, I know she's not here, but Leia. I'm pretty sure you're on the call. And
yes, I am.
Yes, definitely deserve one. You were so fun to talk to and talk about things with at UAA meetings, and you helped set up this really, really productive meeting with Dr. SS. I think we all can all agree it was really, really fun, and she's really into what we're trying to do. And I want to thank you for all your help.
Oh, thank you, Veronica. And you know what? While I'm up here already, and you guys can hear me, I would like to send a snap to Veronica as well, because honestly, I love working with you, and you're just working hard all the time. So I'm just happy I was able to assist in any way. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would love to give snaps to Sammy. She's been very helpful in setting up the MHA event. She's been answering all of my questions. Always a very positive face. I love when I see her. I appreciate you a lot.
I want to give a snap to Treasurer Windler. He did 34 MHA grant transfers this week, and I emailed him a lot. So, and he did all the SFAB stuff. So he's doing an awesome job.
I was there with him.
Wait, I have to hand it to you. Sorry, what? Martia?
Oh, I said I was there with him. He doesn't get all.
And Martia. Woo!
Yeah, Martia.
Okay, anybody else? Okay. The chair would now entertain a motion to adjourn. Who's gonna do it? Senator Reed.
Hey, sorry. Are you so we're adjourning, but I expect that everyone sits here and staples at least 5 bandanas. Please, I'm being very, very serious.
Yes, sorry, we're adjourning so we can let the people online go. But yes, we got some bandanas to staple. Treasurer Windler.
Sorry, just one final announcement. Just a reminder, the SFAB bill, those numbers are not finalized until the second reading next week, and they're not public until the second reading next week when we'll notify the groups at that point.
Thank you for the clarification. All right, Senator Reed.
Madam President, I move we do now adjourn.
All right, it's been properly motioned and seconded to adjourn this meeting. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Nay. Okay, any abstentions? Okay, in the ears of the chair, the ayes have it. So this meeting is adjourned, and it's time to staple some bandanas. Woo! Okay. Thanks.